I'm non-zero-sum James, your companion on this exploration of win-win games. On the Shoulders of Substrates, how one phenomenon lays the foundation for the next. If you'll cast your mind back a couple of episodes to emergence versus entropy, we found in order to overcome entropy, an emergent system like our planet benefits from a consistent stream of energy from the sun, creating a substrate for life on Earth. Yet the sun is still increasing the entropy of the system as a whole through its role as a dissipative structure. The term substrate is used across many disciplines, denoting a base that supports dependent phenomena. The broad shoulders of cyanobacteria. One of the most memorable stories of substrate emergence is that of cyanobacteria. You'll remember it, of course, it's very memorable. No? Well, what happened was, for 2 billion years, bacteria were the only form of life, and they were getting by with an atmosphere Bill Bryson describes where there was no more oxygen to breathe on Earth than there is on Mars today. It was also full of noxious vapours from hydrochloric and sulfuric acids, powerful enough to eat through clothing and blister skin. He goes on to explain that at some point in the first billion years of life, cyanobacteria or blue-green algae learned to tap into a freely available resource, the hydrogen that exists in spectacular abundance in water. They absorbed water molecules, supped on the hydrogen, and released the oxygen as waste, and in so doing invented photosynthesis. Bill Bryson. Cyanobacteria were able to thrive by exploiting a substrate of water, and in turn, over the succeeding billions of years, raised the level of oxygen in Earth's atmosphere to 20%, creating the substrate that would be necessary for mitochondria, which would thrive and become the substrate for us. In the simulation on the page, we see an abstracted form of this using coloured dots. Each colour capitalises on a substrate, in this case, food, and deposits a different sort of food that is suitable to another colour. You can see that while the random colours perish at the beginning, inevitably the chain of dependency builds to accommodate even the pickiest eaters. Right back to the start. But this principle of substrate emergence is not only confined to life on Earth. In emergent gravity, we use the graviton simulation to explore how gravity itself can emerge, along with complexity from random forces. Gravity is important because it's the foundation that allows accumulation, which makes something detectable and measurable. It is a first step on a stairway of emergence, where each stair supports the next. I'm going to go through these steps as I see them in a simplified form. So, to begin with, we have quantum fluctuations, random attraction and repulsion, zero-dimensional massless particles providing a substrate for the emergence of complexity. Some fluctuations collect together while others push apart, while others have more complex dynamic patterns, respectively gravitation, dark energy, and electromagnetic fields. These provide the substrate for the emergence of gravitational bodies and systems. These become massive, as in they have mass, and eventually collapse into supernovae, which create new and varied yet consistent atoms, which are necessary for the creation of complex atomic and molecular structures. These are the basis for ordered forms, planets, environments, fuels, crystals, and eventually RNA. Because there are consistent resources and consistent environments, RNA is able to exploit these materials and develop DNA, which is the substrate for cellular life. In a world full of cells, new relationships can arise, like endosymbiosis, where one cell engulfs another, resulting in eukaryotic cells and the rise of the aforementioned cyanobacteria, which led to the Great Oxygenation Event, which provides the substrate for mitochondrial life. Oxygen supports mitochondrial DNA, giving rise to plants and animals in which nervous systems become the substrate for brains. The development of brains leads to greater brain complexity, and areas like the prefrontal cortex and temporal lobes, which become the substrate for communication, greater social interaction, language, and socially transmitted ideas, or memes. Memes become the substrate for technology and civilization. Then we have humanity itself, which lives in a feedback loop between culture and technology, which is the substrate for many new phenomena, from the proliferation of agriculture to cities to the internet, and to a potentially new paradigm shift with the emergence of autonomous, self-replicating AI. Now we are on the verge of a new phenomenon, artificial intelligence, the development of which shows no sign of slowing, a testament to the power of emergence. An important factor in this cycle is replication. We will take a short detour into replication as a mechanism of emergence, focusing on genes, memes, and Susan Blackmore's concept of teams, and see what implications it has for our future. We will then complete this series with some fascinating artists and creators, pushing emergence further with ever more impressive games of life. While I have you here, a wee thought about the benefits of subscribing to stuff. We live in an online world facilitated by algorithms, choosing for you what appeals most to people like you. But that means you're not just being served what's generally popular, you're being shaped by it. Subscribing is not just a way of supporting creators you value, but it's a way of restoring your own agency. If you've been finding this podcast and the site interesting and useful to you, please think about subscribing to the blog or following this podcast.